Today we're talking with David Corradetti from Gibbstown, New Jersey, and the interviewer is Michael McGregor with the Grand Valley State University's Veterans Oral History Project. To begin, David, when and where were you born?
I was born in Woodbury, New Jersey on January 1st, 1950.
Yeah, were you the first baby born in town?
I was the first one born in the county. I think
Oh,
it was
really?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, great. Did anything special ever come out of that, or?
I think my parents got some prizes, some gifts, some diapers and
Okay.
corn and stuff like that.
Okay, I mean, you didn't get a full ride to Ripcord or anything, no?
No.
Okay. Okay, and describe growing up. Did you grow up in Woodbury, or?
I actually grew up in Gibbstown, which is
Okay.
maybe 10 miles south of Woodbury.
Okay, so that's where the local hospital was.
Yes, the
right?
local hospital
Okay.
in Woodbury, yes.
So, and did you grow up in Gibbstown? Then?
Yes, yes I
Okay.
did.
Describe, what did your parents do?
My father worked for DuPont's company. He was a not a chemist. He worked in a lab. He was a lab technician.
Like a lab tech? Okay,
Yes,
for
my
DuPont?
mother. Yes, for DuPont's. Mother was at home.
Stayed home?
Stayed home.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 3 siblings. I have 1 older brother and 2 younger.
Okay. And what did you do growing up? Were you active in sports
yes,
or
I was.
hunting? Or?
Hunting. I did a lot of hunting, fishing, driving. Played sports, all sports, baseball and football. I was a pretty good football player. Although I didn't choose to go to college after high school. I may have got a scholarship, a small scholarship, but I didn't. I wanted to work, choose to go to work after high school.
Okay. So basically, when did you graduate from high school?
I graduated June of 1968.
Okay, as you're going up through high school, were you keeping in touch with what's happening in Vietnam?
Not somewhat, but not really a whole lot. I had a good friend who was killed in 1967 in Vietnam from our high school, and I played
Okay.
ball. Grew up playing ball with him in the
Okay.
midget leagues and middle league, junior league. In fact, we were on the same team. So that's some contact with that, but other than that, not really. No.
So that's kind of hit Vietnam home for you.
Yes.
Now, when you got out of high school, did you think you were going to go into the service, or?
Everybody down at that time, yes, you didn't go to college. You deep down, you went to get drafted. If you didn't enlist, yes, a lot of people got drafted.
So you graduated from school and you took a job?
Yeah, I worked. Yes, I did. I worked for Sicko Oil Company on a New Jersey Turnpike for a year until I got drafted 1 year.
Okay, and what were you doing on with the turnpike there?
We on a service center, pumped gas, changed oil, tires, worked on small things, fan belts. And
Okay, this was one
small
of the
repairs.
Service plazas that were right on the
turnpike,
right?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did you enjoy doing that?
Yes, in fact, I made shift manager, and then all of a sudden I got drafted, and I got my draft notice probably in April of '69.
So about April '69, you got your draft notice, and you had to report in June. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you do your basic training?
In between there, though,
Oh, okay.
I got married.
Okay.
We got married we went together, my wife and I, in high school, our sophomore years, and we had made plans to get married even before I got my draft notice. So we got married May 31st, 1969.
So you got your draft notice in April.
April.
You got married in May. And then you reported for basic training in
June 12th, I reported base training at Fort Dix, New Jersey.
So you did your basic at Fort Dix?
Yes.
Well, yeah. How far was Fort Dix from where you grew up?
1 hour ride.
Okay, so you're pretty close to home.
Yes.
Okay. What was your reaction to basic training when you got into basic?
Not done. Didn't have any difficulty with it, but being pretty athletic. I mean, it was like sports. More regimented towards following orders and stuff like that. It wasn't really bad, hard on. It wasn't that hard.
Okay. And
Enjoyed it.
what was the makeup of your basic training unit? Were they all draftees or some enlistees?
I think it was, I would say probably 75 was draftees and some ERs, enlisted, regular Army guys with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did basic training last?
That was 8 weeks.
8 weeks. At the end of 8 weeks, then you got your orders for AIT?
Yes, we graduated, I guess in August, yeah, sometime in August. Got my orders for AIT, which is Advanced Infantry Training, which we shipped us out to Fort Lewis.
Oh, so
Washington State.
you did it at you did your AIT at Fort Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. Describe that process, you know.
That was basically more advanced, a little more advanced than basic training. Same thing, you had physical training, and AIT, same map reading, you shot the M16, M14, grenade launcher, throw grenades. I had some light exercises at nighttime. And what else we do? Some basic medical thing, you cut and scratches, you got to repair a broken arm or something like that. That was AIT. That was 12 weeks.
Your AIT was 12 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. In Fort Lewis, and towards the end of your AIT, did you get orders for overseas?
Once we graduated AIT, we got orders, yeah, to go to Vietnam, yes.
Okay. Did you get a leave before?
Yes, I think it was 2 weeks, 2 or 3 week leave.
So you went home for your leave?
Went home for leave, yes, with my wife for 3 more weeks. Hunting, went duck hunting and did a little trapping and then reported.
What would you trap?
Muskrats.
Muskrat?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you, what did your wife feel about your going to Vietnam?
Well, she was, yeah, I don't know, she was like anybody else, she didn't, you know, she had some regrets, but you had to do it. I mean, you had the job doing, you did it. Yeah, I have no regrets.
So when you went to Vietnam, where did you leave the States from?
Once again, I shipped back to Fort Lewis, and from Fort Lewis, I think Seattle Airport. I left in Seattle, I'm thinking. Okay. And from there, I think we went to Alaska to refuel, and then Benoit, flew to Benoit.
Okay. Now, when you got your orders to go to Vietnam, did you have any orders for a specific unit, or just to a replacement?
No, so when we got to Vietnam was when we went to Benoit. We got assigned. I got assigned to
Okay.
the 101st Airborne.
So you landed in Benoit. What was your first reaction when you got off the plane to the country?
It was hot. Hot and humid.
And how long were you in Benoit then?
I don't think we was there a day or two, maybe 2 days.
And you got orders for the 101st then?
Correct.
Now, at that time, did you know that they weren't airborne? Did you ever wonder, hey, why am I going to an airborne unit? I didn't go to jump school?
Yeah, yes, that did dawn on me, but they needed bodies, they needed people, so that's where we were sent.
So how did you get from Benoit up to the 101st?
I think with 130, C-130, I want to think we flew into Fubai.
Okay.
And from Fubai, if I'm not mistaken, then they trucked us to Camp Evans. That's right up, that's right at C. I got assigned to C, the 2nd 506.
Okay, so now you get to Camp Evans, and what happens to you then?
I go and see the CO and the company commanding officer, and they assign you to a company, which is C company, and a platoon. And
before that, did you have any training to orientate yourself to the operations of the division? Some guys went through what they call certs.
Yes, I'm thinking after we get assigned, I get assigned to Evans, get assigned to our company, C company. Maybe 2 days after that, we went to, where was that? We went to a cert training.
Okay,
Where we,
so you got your unit first, and then you went. Okay.
Yeah, for search training. I'm not sure. That might be in 2 or 3 days. I'm not really sure at the time that.
Okay, what did you think of the search training?
Yeah, that was fun. We learned how to repel out of a helicopter, and that was the most enjoyable thing, which was fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you finished your certs, and now at that time, was your unit standing down at Evans, or were they out in the field?
I think when I signed the C company, they were out in the field. My recollection was out in the field.
So this would have been probably end of November?
End of November.
Okay. So then you, after search, you joined the unit out in the field. And describe your reaction to joining the unit, and you know how you were accepted and that kind of thing.
You're a cherry when you first come in, and you're labeled a cherry, new guy, FNG, new guy. And they kind of get somebody at it. I was lucky to have an E6, Ernie Tolberton he was, the guy from New York. Kind of took me under his wing, and he did a real good job. Showed you the do's, the don'ts, and in country, what to do, what not to do, and what.
Okay,
They look for.
he was your squad leader? Or?
Yes, your
Okay.
squad leader, yes.
Okay, and how many men were in your squad?
I'm gonna say a dozen,
Okay, so
top of my head. around a dozen, say around
pretty
a
full
dozen.
strength then,
Yeah,
weren't you?
yeah. Point man, slack man, you had the lieutenant, RTO, M60, then the ammo bearer, M79. Yeah, I got a dozen, 15 guys in the squad.
Now, at that time, was your unit operating up in the hills, or
Yeah.
were you? Okay.
The whole time I was in the hills, Vietnam. That's one thing I never forget. Up the hill, down, up and down.
What was your reaction to the hills?
It was tough out walking, especially in the rain. You go up 2 foot and then slide back 3 feet. Red clay, mud. So we did that for, you got a week or 2 weeks, and then they bring you back into base camp for a day or two, and then you search you back out another mission. And you never knew where you were going.
Okay.
They would tell you in the morning or whatever time they would be, get your gear and meet us at the helicopter pad. You go to the pad and on the chopper, 6 people on the chopper, and they fly out and insert you somewhere, and you never knew. The lieutenants knew where the destination, where we were going, and as a foot soldier, we didn't know where they're at.
You just knew it was another hill.
Done another hill.
Yeah. So, now this is before Ripcord was set up and established and that type of thing. So, describe a typical day out in the field.
They would insert you in like I said, a certain area where they want to insert you, and they give you, we wanted to go maybe 300 meters or a mile today, and we go looking, hunting, and see what we can find, an enemy or a cache or whatever. So you walking through the bush, looking.
Okay. Now, would you stay on trails or make
Trail,
your own
big out of
trails?
trails, yeah. That's why you got to be careful with tripping, booby traps and whatnot. Yes.
Okay. And what kinds of things would you encounter when you're out there?
Yeah, not other than enemy. Once in a while, they was look for us, and we look for those, and booby traps, and that's about.
Were there many booby traps?
There was a few. I don't remember a whole lot. No, there was a few.
Because you're pretty much out in the woods,
Yeah.
aren't you?
In the hills. We was in the hills, all in the hills,
Yeah.
and the high country. A lot of trees, like triple canopy, and hot, humid.
That yeah, it was hot there.
And streams. It was the country was pretty.
Huh?
It's pretty country. Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, and yeah, it's pretty, except when you got to walk it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, so you were doing that. Now you were there. You were out in the field for Christmas, or were you able to come back to the rear? Or
I think they brought us back in the rear. We went to Eagle Beach. We had seen Bob Hope
okay,
on Christmas. It was one day. They brought us in for one day. Took us to Camp Eagle or Eagle Beach.
so you pulled the whole company out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which was nice. Then back to Evans, and then went back on the field again.
And when you were out in the field, you said you would be out there a week, 10
Week to
days,
10
and they
days.
pull you back to Evans for a day or two?
Evans was there too, and yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that was basically your routine?
That's routine, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so now Ripcord started, what, right around April, didn't it?
I think March the 12th is when actually the
March,
operation,
March,
I think it's Operation Texas Star, they called it. But with operating all in the area, Ripcord. You have Ripcord, yeah, I think Firebase, Gladiator, Bastogne. There's like 5 or 6 different fire bases, which were abandoned at the time, and they want us to work that area. That was their area.
Go back there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were with, so now you're operating around Ripcord.
Correct.
Okay, and what's your routine there?
Same thing,
Same thing?
same thing. Yeah, on the, I guess late March, I'm not real sure. I think I was talking to my lieutenant down here at the reunion. He said that we were on Fire Base Gladiator, which was abandoned. We were getting for 4 or 5 days. We was setting up to occupy it again. We was pulling the Constantine wire, which wasn't a very good duty. It was tough.
No, I imagine, yeah. So you probably didn't have
No,
protective gloves,
no
did
protective gloves. No, I remember talking to LT. I remember having his hands wrapped, pulling. And we had a captain named Vasquez, which was very highly thought of.
Yeah.
He was a good captain, and wasn't tight enough for him. And he was right. You got to pull that wire tighter, tight.
Well, he basically laid out the defenses for Ripcord.
He did. That's
Yeah.
correct. Yes,
He
he
did
did.
Now, you were in the field and you were wounded in April?
Yes, after we did Gladiator 4 or 5 days, one of the other units were in trouble or was taking on, seen some action. They pulled them out and they inserted us. I don't know where, not sure, like you said, where it was at. Around Hill 909, down the bottom of the Hill 909, they inserted us to go to 902. And we were walking again, doing the mission to go there, and got caught in the ambush. And that was on the 6th of April.
Okay, so April 6th, as you're going up, you run into was platoon or whole company ambush?
Or a platoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened then?
I was probably the 3rd squad back. I was carrying a radio. I started carrying a radio two months prior to that for the sergeant at RTO. We got in an ambush, the 1st platoon. I thought it was Lieutenant Campbell. It wasn't. Talking to him yesterday. They called for our squad to move to the front and cover the left flank. So I told Sergeant Stewart, another great guy, he was in Oklahoma. He was to my left. I said, Sergeant Stewart, they want us to move to the front and cover the left flank. And I no sooner told him that, and an RPG come in. And
Okay. So after that, did that RPG hit you too?
yeah, he got
Is that
killed.
what-
Yeah, he got
you
killed.
were wounded?
Yeah, I got wounded.
Okay, and then were you medevaced out right away?
Yeah, within I'd say half hour, an hour. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You got medevac back to Evans. Yeah.
What were the extent of your injuries?
I got hit shrapnel in my chest and my legs.
Okay. So then you went back to the hospital?
Yeah, I went to a field. In fact, I was talking to the doctor, but I'm not sure if he's on my operating. But yeah, he was. They took the shrapnel on my chest because it went my collarbone and it
Went down?
went down towards my heart because I'll never forget. You start operating, it's funny too because you hear them cutting. You hear them cutting on you because you're still awake.
Yeah.
And
But you're under a local
No,
anesthetic, so you don't feel it.
You didn't
right?
feel it. It's funny to hear it. But anyhow, he said the nurse or the aide said we got to put him out because it's too deep. So that's the best thing I remember. They knocked me out. They did pull it out, the shrapnel. Then he woke me up in recovery. And I don't know if a captain came in or somebody, one of the major, there was an officer came in, putting the Purple Heart light
Yeah.
on the bed on the thing, and then I remember asking the doctor, how soon can you get back in the field? And the doctor said, he's going home, he's not going back out in the field. That's when I got sent home like 2 days later. I went to Japan for 3 days, hospital in Japan. Then they sent me to Philly.
Okay, and with a military hospital in
Yeah,
Philadelphia?
it was Valley Forge Army Hospital, yes.
Okay. And how long were you there?
6 months. I was at home. I was in and out.
Okay.
Convalescing. I go for a week and I come home on the weekend. I want to say it was April, May, June, July. maybe August, and after that, when I rehabbed, they sent me back out to Fort Lewis. I had 9 more months to go. They sent me back to Fort Lewis to finish my time in service. And
So what did you do at Fort
they
Lewis?
assigned me to actually a supply. I was in supplies.
Okay,
Handed out when the new people came in, handed out bivouac, when they went bivouac. Sleeping bag and this stuff.
shelter hats, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did that,
Okay.
yeah.
You'd issue that out and
Yeah.
get it back, right?
Yeah. Which wasn't bad, it was pretty good.
Did your wife come out there with
Yes,
you then?
yeah, I
Okay.
brought that with me, yes, yeah.
Now, at that time, were you able to have a base housing, or did you have to live off the base?
I lived off base, we
Okay.
had an apartment off base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, while you were at Fort Lewis, did you encounter any anti-war protesters or
Yeah.
anything?
As I was telling the folks down here, I never once encountered any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore my dress uniform when I traveled back and forth. I traveled back to Philly to pick her up, and brought her back, and I didn't encounter any of that.
Okay. And you traveled in uniform the whole
Yes,
time?
yes, I did, yes, yeah.
Okay. So you did your
9
months there, and then you separated?
I separated.
and,
I almost re-upped. They did give me again, so I think it was 2 or maybe 3 times. They selected me to escort. I'd escort a couple people of court martials. I had 45 and what's called, I'd do that, like MP for MP. That was pretty neat.
So you did some prisoner transport?
Yeah, so they wanted me to re-up, and I almost re-upped. They were going to put somebody in MP school, but I kind of got wet feet, changed my mind. Didn't
Now,
do that.
after you got out of the hospital, did you have any kind of profile against that barred you from doing certain activities, or were you released to full duties?
Not really, no, I was going back to full duties. Yeah, back to full duty.
But they kept you out of Vietnam because your convalescent period was
Right.
too long.
Too long, it would have been time for me to come home anyhow.
Yeah, so.
They put me up re-5 when I was out at Fort Lewis. They wanted to make me an E5, but
If you re-upped, huh?
no, not re-up that. They wanted to do, but I had to take a test, and I didn't do very well. I did very well on the test. Because I got out, the captain wrote me a very nice letter of recommendation, saying you did this, you did everything you did an E7 job when I was doing
Okay.
stuff. He said you did a great job, and give me a nice letter of recommendation. And they wanted to promote me, but I failed on the test. Yeah, but that was nice. I have no regrets, in the Army, or no regrets in Vietnam. And seeing these people at the reunion, that's the first time I saw like Lieutenant Campbell and Minios and Lemon. I seen 4 guys, which I've never seen since Vietnam.
Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Now, was Lieutenant Campbell your platoon
He was
leader?
my platoon leader.
Was he your platoon leader when you got hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'll say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So surprised. Yeah, that has to be a great
It
feeling.
was a great feeling.
That
It
has
was.
to be a great feeling. And I bet when you got together, it just seemed like it hadn't been 40 years. It was just like yesterday, right?
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you're going to Joe's. I think Joe's coming up. He's going to be in next.
Okay.
He's in the same platoon with Joe too. Joe.
Okay. So now you get out of the Army. What do you do?
I got in the Army. I came back. Went back to the same original job. Worked at a service station on the turnpike for 2 years. So let me see, 71, 72, 73 to 74, 1974. Then I applied. I went actually worked for the oil refinery, in the oil refinery for Mobil Oil Company.
Okay.
And I worked there for 33 years.
And then you retired out of
I
there?
retired at 57 years old. I retired, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What did you do in the refinery?
I worked actually in the oil and transportation. Big crude ships come in, we'd unload them, load them in barges, and supply the units with crude oil,
Okay.
storage and transfer.
Well, that's great.
They operated there, so I had some people under me there too.
That's great. Well, you have a great story. Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much. I appreciate it. Go off.
All done?
That's great. Yeah, it's.